she was offered slip into the world of her dreams, the world of possibility, the world where everything was possible. And as she was about to reach Mars, a loud voice interrupts her, telling her that her sheets are running away. She gets up worriedly and goes after them, knowing her mother, she's going to get scolded by her mother. As she moves through the venue, trying to catch up with her sheep and of course her dreams, she finds a stage. And as she steps on the stage, everything resolves back, and she says to herself, "Oh, I'm at TEDx. I'm Majida Fahmy, a shepherd girl from the mountains of Hunza, striving to be a social entrepreneur, working for education of the underprivileged and out-of-school children." Growing up in the small community of Hunza, I've heard all kinds of stories of how our community went through times of scarcity, poverty, and basically slavery and storage in just 30 to 40 years back. But what happened there exactly? That all of a sudden everything changed and Hunza became the world's top tourist destination. The literacy rate went up and the poverty was elevated from that community. Well, I believe that this transformation from Stone Age to Space Age was made possible only through quality education. Organizations such as HAC brought in the light of education recently there and focused on intervention plannings to uproot poverty through education. My community was so focused on education that they committed themselves to educating their children even if they have to eat grass. In a span of few decades, everything changed and Hunza is now the world's top tourist destination with the most literate people. Imagine the difference education can bring to a community. But there is one problem of living in the mountains. You can see the beautiful Milky Way above, but you cannot see the horizon. And sometimes the mountains do feel like a cage. And I had big dreams, so I wanted to fly out of there. So I flew to the city to continue my higher education. As I moved to the capital, I was devastated at the sight of street children begging on the road. There was this one specific girl. Her name was Voin. I looked into her eyes, and I saw the same potential, the same capability as me. But she was there, sitting, helplessly begging on the road. I started to understand that what is holding them back from having a different life. One fine day, I decided to live a life in their shoes. I wore an abaya, I covered my face, and I went out on the streets being one of them. This was the bravest thing that I had done so far. With the amount of vulnerability, insecurity, criminal activities, harassment, whatnot is present there in the society. It was as if suddenly a veil was being lifted and I can see all the cruelty in the world. I remember myself sitting on the roadside alone, crying out to myself that what can I do to change this? At that time, I felt so small and so insignificant. But right there, I decided that I am going to use the same tool that my community used to get out of poverty for these people who are in need. And right there, I decided that through education, we are going to make a difference. I figured out that Pakistan has the second highest number of out-of-school children, and almost 22.5 million children are out of school. And that number also falls multiple times before it reaches secondary education. That is a sad fact that we are facing. So I started taking these street children and started recruiting them into schools. Their parents were very reluctant at first because their main source of income, who would earn them 40 to 50K per month, would be now wasting time somewhere else. So they have to stop doing drugs and they have to get on doing something of their own to get their life going. I was so happy to see these children blend in the school with other kids and finally having a shot at better life. But little did I realize that the education system was a much much bigger problem than we thought it was. I realized that the children on the streets are much better prepared for life than the children in the school. They were agile, they were active, they were creative. And most of all, they know how to earn money, and they had seen and fought with danger. On the other hand, the children in the school were like robots. They were taught to stay in their comfort zones and find specific information that can box them and organize them. And it follows the same industrial model that is 200-year-old of categorizing and processing students just like products in any other factory. So I decided with my team that we are going to design a better education system for all of us to get affordable, accessible, and functional education system. Education is a very slow but powerful moving force, and we've seen the difference in Hunza Valley, what it had done to our community, and what we can do to make it a system so the rest of the world can come out of poverty and uplift themselves. So our approach to the solution was designed into 3 phases. The first phase is technological infrastructure and learning centers. Technology is the future. The sooner we accept this fact, the better we're going to get it, and the more we can utilize it to benefit us. We developed a system, a software, that can cater to the needs of educators as well as learners. It can store and feed information to the students according to their intelligence style. The second thing is quality content and delivery. Well, a lot of you can relate to me here because there are so many teachers who come into the class, read the slides or the textbook, and leave without having any interest for what they are teaching. Can you relate to this? Yes! Okay, so I've been there as well. So we all know that some teachers are just teachers because they cannot be something else. And we need to be learning from those teachers that are the best in the fields. Fortunately, we need to live in, fortunately we live in a time where we can directly access and learn from the best in their field. For example, if I want to be an entrepreneur, I can directly learn from Elon Musk. So this is the thing that we have tons of content available online, but we need to direct it in a proper system and feed it to the young and fragile minds in a proper way. This is the ideal vision for this part of the solution. The third thing is accessibility and engagement. This phase is the most challenging one because we need to make the system plus the content available for every single child in Pakistan. I remember when I used to work with those 3 children, even they had technology at their home. They had smartphones, they had laptops, but they weren't able to figure it out and how they are going to use it to benefit themselves. So is the story with the 4,000 small villages across Pakistan. There's a region in Pakistan called Kohistan. The female literacy rate there is less than 1%. People are trying to build expensive buildings there to promote education, but little do we know that the educational, the religious and cultural barriers are much bigger to be dealt with, to let those girls go out and get education. But the same case again, that Facebook and Instagram has reached there and they usually post daily. Why don't we use such smarter ways to get to these people and spread education and get them out of the poverty rate? It's going to take time. The solution is going to take 10 to 15 years before showing some actual impact, but we're up for it and we want to change the education system. But till then, we have introduced some innovative learning approaches for Generation Alpha, which is the upcoming generation. The first thing that we need to be teaching our children is learning how to learn. We're always taught what to learn, but never how to learn. My wonderful and amazing mentor, Madam Shahid Shahid, is sitting here. She's also from Canada. She has done a phenomenal job of teaching a group of children from Hunza Valley, which is Lahore, and is teaching them how to learn faster. She has been able to squeeze the 10 years of education into 2 years. The children, they are studying in her school currently. 2 years before, they did not even speak English or read any alphabets. But today they are preparing for the 9th and 10th grade examination, which is a miracle because if you can learn that faster, that could be life-saving. That will save you a lot of time. The second thing is processing data and using knowledge. The 22.5 million people don't need fancy curriculum. They need a proper, stable source of income to support their families. So we need to teach them that how to process the data that is already available there, or the information that they can utilize to get themselves out of poverty. Another thing that I am teaching them is digital and financial literacy, for the same reasons that the growing digital landscape around us, and they need to be earning to support their families. Traveling and learning is also another important aspect of learning that we need to introduce in our education system. For that, we have introduced a few courses in which you can travel Pakistan and discover yourself. We have an entrepreneurship summit coming up in Ashraf, where you need to be exposing yourself to multiple cultures, peoples, in order to have a better picture of the world around you. The next thing is social and emotional intelligence. Being socially and emotionally intelligent is the key to getting ourselves well in 21st century. We ran a campaign called Up Bus that was about harassment. This topic, this cause, this evil that has affected millions of people daily, but neither our education system nor our parents talk about it. So we took it upon ourselves and went to the schools to train those children there that how they can protect themselves from such abuse. After some time, I went back to the school and asked the students that if what we had taught them had any impact on them. I was ready to be disappointed, but then a hand was raised and a 10-year-old boy stood up and told us our heartbreaking story of how his uncle tried to abuse him, and he got out of that situation to safety just because he knew what to do next. So that is the power of education. The last but not least is agility, the ability to adapt constantly changing environment. This is a skill that we all need in this fastest moving world, that we need to be agile, we need to adapt faster, we need to keep ourselves updated. These tools and education, of course, has helped my community get out of poverty, and I want everyone to have access to these tools for a better life. Because every life is precious and every life deserves a chance to blossom into a better world. We are building learning centers starting from the poor, especially in Hunza Valley, where we are going to teach these children these skills that can help them get out of poverty in a much faster rate. Education is a very important tool, and we have only become Ashraf and Makhluqat because of Voin. That is our ability to learn and adapt. The creative spirit pushes us to do something much better, bigger than ourselves. And I believe education can do the same. Education can give people hope. It can give people the mindset that whatever they dream of, they can make it a reality. Just like I used to shepherd in the mountains, and I used to dream that I would